everyone. Welcome to the Booze and Boobs podcast. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Katrina. Thanks for joining us today as we talk about some of our favorite horror movies.
We created this podcast as a way to give women more of a voice in horror. Men dominate most industries, especially film and television.
And that also goes for podcasts. We'll focus on female characters, motivations, or just expectations placed on women in horror, even if the situation is happening to a man.
We're excited you're here and we hope you love it.
Now let's get to today's movie. You guys, you know how Rachel talks all the time? It's my turn, okay? Because this is my favorite movie. And today we're doing Tremors.
I mean, no build up, no nothing. She's just excited to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really fit the theme for what we talk about a lot of the time. Maybe not, but I'm going to make it work because I want to. In the previous episode, we didn't get to decide. And then we did decide on like 3 different movies. And then I was like, what if we just did Tremors? Because I realized this whole time, we've had this podcast for how long? Over a year, almost 2 years.
Over 2 years. We started in May of 22.
And Tremors was the first movie I ever put on our list. And I was like, we've been waiting for it to be streaming on something for free. And then I was going through my like Xbox games and I realized I have all 7 Tremors movies on DVD. And I'm an idiot. Like we could have been doing it this whole time.
Not the whole time.
The whole time. Every single episode.
7 episodes max.
Fair enough. We're gonna have 1 episode just about Bert as a character himself. Okay, that's all I'm saying. He's my favorite. So, who is your favorite character out of all of the 14 population plus a couple extras?
My favorite is Edgar because he just got to die and miss all of it and didn't have to put up with the bullshit.
Yeah, but he suffered the longest out of everybody because he died from dehydration for 3 or 4 days up on a pole, like on an electrical pole. So he suffered longer than, I mean, the span of this movie is like 2 days. He suffered for 4 days.
Okay, but he got to climb up a water tower and then just die. He didn't have to run around. He didn't have to climb roofs. He just had to get a little bit higher on that tower. And he's like, you know what? I give up. And I relate. No, my favorite character, I mean, I would say Valentine, because I don't know, he's funny.
And not just because it's Kevin Bacon, right?
Not just because it's Kevin Bacon. It definitely plays into the factor.
Okay.
But yeah, I like it. So this movie, Katrina and I, we watched it together last week. And when we watched it, so my first time ever watching it, I was cackling on the couch. This is unfortunately an amazing movie. It's so good, but we were talking about it and I see an argument that this is a horror movie, but I'm like, this is an action comedy. Like there are some thrills and some jumps and like some ooh, but like this is just a universal ride. This isn't like I'm not haunted. I'm not actually worried. So like to me, there's nothing that like it was over. I was having a good time and I was like, okay, that's a movie. Bye.
Yeah. I just think it's got the kind of humor that I grew up with. This is definitely like the reason I love this movie is because this is the kind of movie that my dad watches. Like he would always have the Sci-Fi Channel on with like the really bad monster creature horror movies. And like this just ended up being one of the ones that all of us liked and have watched a million times. It was really hard for me not to like try to say the quotes as we were watching it together. I was like, don't do it.
You mean the way that I quote everything I like all the time?
Yeah. I was trying really hard.
You could have, and it's okay.
So if you haven't seen Tremors, I'm sorry for your loss. It's not streaming anywhere I'm aware of. But you can listen anyway. It's a great time. I don't think we're gonna spoil anything. You pretty much know what it is. It's giant underground worms that eat. So that's pretty much what this movie is about. Surviving that.
And
But yeah,
Reba's
talk
there.
to you guys. And Reba is there. You said this was her first movie?
Hmm.
That's funny.
Yeah, this is her
And then
first acting role ever. And then she came in through the credits with a
yes,
song, and I was like, yes, let's
the
go.
whole movie, Rachel is calling Reba fancy. And I quoted something from the fancy song. She's like, I don't know the song. I just know this. And I'm like, how?
But
What do you mean?
I'm not like I support Reba McEntire. I like her, but I just know like the most superficial lyrics and quotes. Like that's it.
Fair enough. You at least have to know the TikTok trend of a single mom who works 2 jobs. Yeah, you know that one.
Yeah. I was just talking to Merce about this. It's like I have seen the show, but I didn't watch it. So it's like it's
Yeah,
a handful of episodes. I know people who are in it, but
yeah.
it's
Well, she
not.
does not make a reappearance for Tremors 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 or 7.
Well, and I
So
will say, it's not because she died. She's
it
a
is not.
survivor.
That was good. That was a good one. She, out of the survivors, we start out with a population of 14, and we end up with 7 of the original, plus one outsider that ended up being there. So in total, we end up with 8 characters left in this
Well,
movie.
and then Kevin Bacon is gonna bang that girl, so population 9 soon.
Well, they leave, they don't come back, so they don't.
I don't know that.
Valentine doesn't. Well, now
I
you
don't know
know.
that they're kissing in the credits roll. For all I know, Valentine just decided, you know what? I will stay here.
Yeah. Well, in this whole time, they're like, let's get out of big or let's get out of perfection. Um, I wouldn't stay there after that. If you stay there after that, you're crazy. Because what are the odds there's only 4 and you killed all 4 in existence and they've never been seen before? Yeah, I doubt it. There would not be a Tremors 2 through 7 if they were all dead, in my
Does it
opinion.
stay in perfection the whole time?
No. It
Oh.
goes worldwide. Mr. Worldwide.
I yeah, it was great. I can't say like I'm super intrigued to watch the rest of them because I don't feel like anything could capture the magic of the first one watching it 34 years later.
They get creative, let me tell you.
How do you get more creative than Kevin Bacon fighting an underground worm?
It's Earl lassoing ostriches in the
Oh,
desert.
he's in more of them?
Yeah, he's in the second one.
Oh, good for him. Wait, well, what happens to Valentine? Why aren't they besties? Broskies?
The story is that he and Rhonda ran away and fell in love together, are doing their own thing.
My Valentine would never turn his back on Earl.
He wouldn't, but he did.
Okay, well, Valentine's not my favorite anymore. I am back to Edgar.
Not old Fred.
No, R.I.P. Fred. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Sis
Fred.
Fred.
Yeah. Oof. That was tough. Why? How did the face? How is the face the only thing that's left? How did he just chomp off of it? I get it was like for the shock factor, but logically, well, that doesn't make sense.
Logically, there aren't underground worms either, so
I mean, there are underground worms. They just
yeah, I'll give it to you. You got me there. Well, okay, so there's so many. Well, okay, there's so many things to talk about, but there's also not that much to talk about with this movie. It's pretty cut and dry. We don't have like Seven Deadly Sins or the elements or anything that we're trying to drag into this. Our talking points we discussed were for healthy masculinity, genre, um, what's that word? Like defect, not defect. What's the word? Departure. Departure.
Mm,
I got it. So we're
there you go.
talking about how much we like these men, most of them. There's definitely one that we hate. Um, and it's a fun monster movie. So this is not in almost any way, shape, or form something that should fall in line with the thesis statement of this podcast, but it's our podcast and we do what we want.
I own 51% of this company, okay? We're gonna do it.
Hey,
Uh,
you can edit 51% of these videos then.
fair enough.
Actually, I don't even know. You did so
I
many of them to begin with, and then I started a streak. I have absolutely no idea.
I haven't counted at all. Um, I will say I do have some quotes, my favorite quotes that I'll sprinkle throughout this whole thing, but I think it would be fun if Rachel gave us the summary for this movie.
No pressure. I just finished watching this for the second time ever in my life.
Yeah, that's why
Okay.
it's great.
Well, the briefest summary of this movie is uh I was gonna say a small town, but I don't even think 14 people counts as a town. It's
I
just
think it's a
a,
village
a
technically.
settlement at that point. Um, a settlement is under duress as they fight for their lives against four underground worm things. The more thorough summary is Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward play Valentine and Earl, who are roommates, but they're just besties,
Mhm.
according to the script, not to my heart, but that's a different thing. Um, they are handymen who are getting by doing odd jobs all over the town, between building fences, doing trash, doing, I think they said something about laying linoleum. They're doing whatever. And their big dream is to get out of this nothing town called Perfection. And as they are attempting to make their way out of the town limits, they find Edgar, who, like, they're driving by and everybody knows. I mean, there's you can't not know everybody in when
Mhm.
there's 14 of you. Uh,
Yeah.
they're driving by an electric tower and they're like, "Oh, that's Edgar. He has the same jacket on. Like, let's go talk to him." And then they find him dead. They talk to the doctor who says that he died of thirst. Then they come across a sheep farmer with no more sheep, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And then they find his head. So they go into the general store where pretty much everybody else is, say that there's something going on. Then when they're by themselves, they figure out that it's these giant underground worms. They are met with the grad student, Rhonda, who does not have blonde hair or green eyes, an ass that won't quit, and legs that go all the way up. And she's still the romantic interest anyway. But she is a geologist, studying geologist, and she is monitoring the seismic activity of, I feel like I'm doing like a test. I'm like giving you all the
You're doing
facts.
great. You're doing great.
Thank you. She's monitoring all the seismic activity in the area, and she's the one who really saves the day, but pinpoints how many of them there are by monitoring the activity. The town is pushed all together. They figure out that whatever's left is coming for them. They're climbing on the roofs. Then they're trying to make plans to distract. They're trying to get away through the mountains. They're trying to get out. And then hijinks ensue that are just extended action scenes. And then almost everyone makes it. The end.
Ta-da!
I feel like I got really, really detailed in the beginning, but I really wanted us to have a sense of who these people were.
Yeah. They're they're your typical like I don't know if Rachel knows a whole lot of small town people, but they are very typical small town country. Like you get a little taste of everybody. Like, and I think that's what makes this kind of a good movie is like you've got all kinds of personalities shoved into one room and you just kind of got to deal with it and figure it out. So we can go through these title scenes, talk about some little stuff that happened and go from there.
Sure.
I don't know what else to do.
Well, this is just kind of where it gets into there's a lot of there's a lot of action. Like it's a 90-minute movie and you're engaged, you're watching it the whole time, but there's no twist, there's no engagement. You're just watching it. And the beauty of this movie is that they fleshed out all of these characters really well. So you're watching them just as people, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're seeing how they cope in the face of sudden death.
Yeah, like Val and Earl's friendship is actually it feels sincere. Like it feels like a real relationship. Like they've known each other for years. They like rely on each other for everything. They're basically boyfriend, but
But I
they
guess
just aren't.
not.
I guess they should have been. There should have been like the whole time Earl was, pushing Valentine to give Rhonda a chance rather than stick with his typical Bobby Lynn Baxter blonde hair, uh, oh, I broke a nail
Oh
type
yeah.
women.
Yeah, you get Earl, who's like a man's man, but he really is just like a nice person. So it's an
Yeah, like
exterior, I guess.
the the way that he like talked about it, honestly, I wasn't even like bothered because I was like, I get it. Like I'm like, I'm with you, Earl. I know what you mean.
Yeah, and he's
So
older. I mean, I didn't do a lot of research on this, but Kevin Bacon was probably in his early 30s. Fred Ward might have been in his 40s at this point. They make several jokes throughout the movie about, like one point, Earl's like, "I'm older and wiser. Listen to me," and Kevin Bacon's like, "You're half right," like calling him older.
yeah, they have a lot of good like jabs with each other that I think that's kind of what keeps the whole thing flowing. Like in the beginning, he's like sarcastically, Earl's like, is this a job for intelligent men?" And Val goes, "Show me one. I'll ask him." And I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
pretty much that's what this movie is.
they're set up like it's like a desert, like it's a desert valley. It's brown and gray and a tiny little bit of green in this know nothing town. But these two guys have, some hopes and dreams. Like they don't even talk about like what they really want to do. It's like not like, oh, when I make the big time, or oh, when I'm rich. It's like they just want to not be sleeping in their truck and not be doing odd jobs. They just want to be someplace else.
But that's kind of like what the initial part of this whole movie was about. Is like they're trying to get out, and as soon as they decide, all right, time to get out of this like middle of nowhere town, they get stuck by monsters, which is just Rachel nice luck. Um, and if I'm gonna assign characters, all right, you can't assign yourself Edgar. But who do you feel like you would be in this movie?
You got really quiet.
Oh,
Now it's better. Okay.
you
Say it
can't
again.
assign. Okay, if you were gonna assign somebody as like who you are as a character, it cannot be Edgar. Who do you think it would be?
Well, it wouldn't be Edgar because Edgar's who I want to be.
Oh,
Um, I'm unfortunately still here. I think like between Earl and Valentine for you and I. I feel like you're Valentine and
Really?
I'm Earl.
I thought I was Earl.
I just
So
feel
it's
like
interesting.
I feel like I'm darker. I feel like I'm older, I'm wiser.
You have right. Okay. Well, I guess I am funnier, so I'll let that. I'll take that.
Oh my God.
I was gonna say you could be Melvin because
Fuck off.
he just
Literally,
cries the whole time and does nothing. He just hides in his house.
no, Melvin is an instigator. Melvin's running around with snake carcasses around him, pretending he's dead. He almost gets shot.
He
Mm-mm.
should have been shot. Oh my
Oh,
God.
when I was just watching it, and Earl was like, Melvin, one day someone's gonna kick your ass. And I was like, why isn't it you right here, right now? Kick this kid's
Yeah.
ass.
Take some time, please.
And when we're talking about Melvin, we are talking about an actual like child, like a teenage boy, but he's so fucking annoying. And if you've watched the movie, the first scene he comes up, that's exactly who he is. He doesn't get better. He sucks.
Well, and here's the thing. No spoilers, but somebody should have kicked his ass. Oh my God. He
You
only
just
gets worse.
like it's a basically a catch line, a catchphrase in the movie. Everyone's like, Melvin.
Yeah. Like, God, yeah. Like, it's the little kid who, what is that one kid that the old man next door, baby, sort of the D, not Dexter. We've been watching too much Dexter.
Dennis. Dennis the
Yes.
Menace.
Yeah, he is like basically Dennis the Menace of this movie.
Melvin the Menace.
Oh, it fits better. Melvin. No, Dennis and Menace is better, I guess. Menace. He's
Oh, well,
just
you can
Menace.
rhyme or you can have alliteration. So one was picked. We got the other one. Relax.
Okay, fair enough. We'll
Relax,
take it.
Valentine.
We'll take it.
So I don't know. Let's break it down. We've talked too much about absolutely nothing at this point.
Isn't that what we always do? Okay. When you say break it down, you mean the scene title thingy majigs?
Let's go. Let's start it.
Okay. First off, we're starting with Stampede, Earl. So we open up. Val's peeing off a cliff. He decides Earl's not waking up, so he's gonna shake the whole truck, wake him up, yelling Stampede. Apparently, Earl's traumatized by Stampede. Um,
This
and
is how
he's
you
like,
know what kind of movie you're getting into is that these assholes are just fucking with each other the whole time.
yeah. And Earl's whole response was, I wish a stampede up your ass or something like that.
See?
And Val's,
Gay.
yeah. And Val's like, how many is it for a stampede? Technically, what's the definition? And I'm like, it's a fair question. Then they do their rock, paper, scissors thing on who makes breakfast. And
We
for
should
the
have
most
counted how
part,
many times they did rock, paper, scissors. That would have been a thing because that's what they do the
I
whole
did.
time.
I did put every time they did rock, paper, scissors. I put RPS.
Oh, hold on. Where is that?
I put rock, paper, scissors like the first 2 or 3 times. I'm like, I'm tired of typing this. So I just put RPS within the notes.
Okay.
Um, but Val loses. Most of the time Val loses. And we go on with our day. They
Like
talk
the
about
loser.
being handyman, and Earl wants to find real employment. They want to move on to Bixby, but Val's just not in Earl's eyes, he's not looking ahead. But she's like, it's Monday and I'm already thinking about Wednesday. I'm like, that is looking to the future for you? That's tough. Because I am constantly thinking about way too much. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I need to be more short-sighted in my life. Um, next scene is long blonde hair, big blue eyes, and legs that go all the way up.
That's me. No ass. 3 out of 4.
Well, one of the qualifications was world-class breasts. You have boobs, so that works.
They're great. Thank you.
I didn't say they weren't. So you got
You didn't
one,
say they were.
two. Also, I messed up. It's actually big green eyes. So,
Damn it. I have
but
a
I have
green
green
shirt
eyes.
on.
Put us together. You got the dream girl right here. What else you need? Rachel just was that. I don't know what to say.
You've
Anyway,
actually made me speechless.
they I just went, my whole brain went blank. They're driving around, getting ready to go do trash, and they realize, oh, there's a new like geologist student out there. She's a seismologist. I don't know. And as soon as Val realizes, be a girl, he drives over there
Literally,
and
he's like, wait, that's a girl.
crosses off the road, going off road, and then is crazy. They meet Rhonda, who does not meet any of Val's criteria. She's got
She is
brown
pretty.
hair. She is pretty. Brown hair, brown eyes,
No tits.
no, not really anything going on crazy anywhere. And she's just it's kind of like a plain Jane, but she's
She's
still
a
pretty.
nice lady.
Yeah. She's a nice gal that you could settle down with.
In the settlement.
Anyway, she asks if there's doing any drilling, and they're like, that's a weird question. No. And
Val's
it's
like,
not a weird
you
question.
wanna?
But anyway, when they're talking about Val's preferences, he's like, I'm a victim of circumstance. And Earl goes, I thought you'd call it your pecker. And I think that was sweet. Like, see, there we go.
They're very funny.
So now they're back in town. This is called Welcome to Perfection. Okay. The irony of the name of this town is not lost on me. Population 14. We meet Melvin, who everybody should hate. If you don't hate Melvin,
You're doing it wrong.
We're part of the Melvin Hater Club. See yourself out. We go to the general store where everybody hangs out because there's nowhere else to do it. But honestly, just go home. What are you doing hanging out at the store? If you're social, cool, I guess. We meet all the characters, most of the characters that we're gonna meet in this movie. Bert and Heather are a married couple, but they're also like end of world preppers.
Reba.
Yeah. So that is Michael Gross and Reba McEntire. And then there is Walter. It is his store. Walter Chang. I don't know the actor's name. Bert talks about, if that girl finds oil, eminent domain, the government's gonna come in. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, because we walk in and they're talking about different like bullet types. So they're like this movie, every time you've met somebody, you know exactly who they are.
Yeah.
Like they filmed this movie like they knew it was a 90-minute movie. They're like, we got to get in and out. Our budget went to the creatures, so you guys got to just say your lines real quick.
Yeah. So we meet all these fun-loving people. Nobody really matters.
Everybody matters.
For the most part.
Except most of them, I don't care.
Except Melvin. So they do their thing, and then they're like, okay, we're getting out of here. This next one is called Goodbye Perfection, where it is Val and Earl are using the cat, the bulldozer, to do trash. When they were talking about doing garbage, expected. It's like they're doing their own little landfill fun task, basically. And then they're talking about, well, when are we ever going to get out of here at their next job, which was pumping Melvin's septic tank. Not a fun job. When he's like, well, when are we going to leave? And then shit just starts spraying everywhere. And that is the moment they decided it's time to leave.
Yeah, that was so funny too, because like they're arguing and Melvin's like, okay. Let's get into Melvin's lore. Does he have parents?
I don't know who his parents. I feel like Nestor is maybe his dad because it's never mentioned. It's never brought up. But in the middle, when Nestor is on top of his house that like tips over, it's an RV. But he wouldn't have a septic tank if it was an RV, so that wouldn't be Melvin's house. I don't know who his parents are.
No, because we have the little girl who is who played Lex in Jurassic Park. So you got her and her mom. They have a house across from the general store. You have Melvin, who is at their trailer for the septic tank. Nestor's climbed on his RV. Bert and Heather have like a compound, just
Mm-hmm.
like you can see it. It's just down the way. The boys have an RV. The boys, my boys. Who knows what Rhonda's doing? And who knows what Miguel's doing? Who knows what Chang is doing?
I doubt they
So,
live together.
right. So we really don't know, but Melvin is getting onto Val and Earl because they're doing the septic tank, and they're like, well, you could come do this yourself, and he's like, why don't you go to the store and buy me a 6-pack and I'll pay you for it, and then they say something about him being under 21, like he's an obvious child, but like this is a child. So who
Mhm.
are his parents? How did he get here?
I have no idea. It's like his parents are like on vacation and didn't want to bring him, and I can't say that I blame them
Ah, good for
because
them.
throughout the whole thing, like nobody claims him.
He's just annoying in there.
He's just there. My my guess is maybe Nestor because they seem to have a similar like demeanor.
Annoying.
Yeah, dumb. That's my guess. I don't know.
I don't know. But you're right. The septic tank little pipe thing bursts, and then we go to an immediate cutscene of Kevin Bacon leaving the RV, and he has his hair combed back like he just showered.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're
He's
getting
like,
in
I'm
their
done with
packed up
this show.
truck, and they're like, "Bye."
Yep. And then Nancy flags him down and she's like, free beer for a month. And they're so proud of themselves when they turn it down. They're like, can you believe we turned down free beer? Like,
Yeah, she had like some like pottery kiln she needed
yeah.
built or something.
And I'm like, the bar is in hell, huh? They just, it does not take much. But that's just who they are. Is like they're the handyman, they're the odd job guys. Like they're not used to being like no because they need the money most of the time. And they go, nothing between us and Bixby. Where is there?
Except, and then that's when they come across Edgar. They see him in the water tower. They find he's dead, and then they have the doctor come out and look at him, and that's when they said that he died of thirst. And they're like, what do you mean he died of thirst? So there's something going on. They can't imagine what would have possessed this able-bodied man just to sit up there until he died.
Yeah. This this next part is called dehydration, mutilation, contemplation, isolation.
Are you proud of yourself?
I am. You know how long it took me to come up with all those Asians?
No.
Too long.
That's correct.
That's the exact amount of time. Too much. So as they're driving out, they see Edgar. They can't just keep going because it's a small town. You gotta
We
stop
already
and hug your
discussed this. We
friends.
already wrapped it up, and we
Oh, the
mentioned we
doctor.
yeah, we mentioned the doctor talking about dehydration and thirst.
Okay. So everybody's basically on their way back to town. They pass by old Fred's house. We talked about Fred, didn't we?
I said his stuff in the beginning.
Oh, okay. Basically, they also pass by old Fred's farm. They find that massacre, and then they get back to the town. And on their way back, they see the construction workers, and they're like, "There's a killer on the loose. Get out of here!" And they don't believe them. And then we get to watch the construction workers die. So we now like it's the movie has hinted every now and then like there's something in the ground going on, but we haven't seen anything yet at this point. So we are still in the dark, so to speak.
Yeah, so the
Um,
construction worker, he has a jackhammer and he is hammering at something, but then we hear like this horrible screech, and then this
ugh,
like orangey red blood just like pools under the jackhammer, and then you just see the jackhammer that's still connected into the ground like shoot off into the distance. It's connected to some cable which is, of course, wrapped around the construction worker's leg. So then he gets
Mhm.
dragged with it, and then we see his insides a little bit later. That's all.
Yep. Fun stuff. Which it causes like a little landslide and blocks the road. So when Val and Earl are like, okay, we gotta go get some help. The phone's out. As Reba says, phone's out, radio's out, we're out of luck. However she says it way better than I do. Um, and so they're like, okay, send Val and Earl to Bixby to get somebody because that's just those are the errand boys. Um, they find the roads out, and that's when they see the dead construction people as well. So now they're actually stuck in perfection because that is
The
like
only way
the
out.
only way out. That's your road out. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. So they're trying to do like a backwards U-turn, like back up and then pull back to go back into town. And then the truck stalls out and then they're trying to get it going, going, going. It won't move. And then it finally does. Earl and Val are talking about like, you can't like pump the clutch or whatever you're doing is stalling the truck out. I don't know, like boy terms. Um, but they do eventually break free, and Valentine's like, see, I didn't stall out the truck, blah, blah, blah. But then when they get back to town and everyone is shocked to see them because they should have been going for help, then they see this tentacle snake thing that was attached to the truck and got dragged back to town.
yeah, and of course Bert is the first one with the shovel, like taking it off and like inspecting it. And he's like, and throughout this whole movie, all they talk about is how much these things smell bad, like how bad they stink. And I'm like, sure, I get that, but like, why do they smell like death? They're they're in the dirt. It's not like they're in the fucking sewer. You know? Like, do
Well,
they just have
sewage
bad
doesn't
breath?
smell like death. I think they're just dirty, stinky creatures. It's also probably
Yeah.
like a pheromone. Like, if you're smelling stuff like that, your body is like, get away.
Oh yeah, like sulfur or something like that. Kukui. Don't do it. Um, so they decide the best way to get out of perfection is via horse. Well, that's
We don't have to talk about
um,
that.
well, I guess we're not there yet, but we cut to the doctor and his wife, like in the evening, they're talking about their construction. They have a really cute relationship. Like they're actually I love them. Um they're and then their generator goes out and their lights turn off. So they go to inspect it. When they go to inspect it, uh it's like gone. The
Yeah,
generator's
because
nowhere to be seen.
yeah, because they're like staying in an RV on this land that they are working to assume. I assume they're building a
Mm-hmm.
house because they keep talking about they're
Cinder
moving.
blocks and the
Yeah,
roof
the
and
cinder blocks are coming. They're talking about all these supplies. They're like physically tired. So when that generator goes, like there's nothing there.
yeah. And poor doctor, he's like he pulls the cord and like there's nothing there. And then all of a sudden the generator goes flying from the earth out of the ground into the air. And he's like, maybe it's a gas pocket, natural gas. They stink like that. Yeah, he's just, I get it. He's trying to rationalize it. Honestly, I'd be doing the same thing. Because Yuri doesn't even like walking outside over around here at night by herself because there's coyotes. I mean, there's tons of fences and stuff. It'll be fine. They're not gonna jump at the cave, but I'm not gonna tell her that. I'm not gonna freak her out.
Well, I
Um,
don't plan on being anywhere near that kind of a place, so
fair enough.
I'm not worried.
Um, so as they're walking back to the car, the doctor starts sinking into the ground and screaming. And he's like slowly like getting sucked further in, and we hear crunching, and he's
Ugh.
like his bones are breaking, and he's like, get something. So the wife like gives him a 2x4, snaps the 2x4. Uh that that would be tough to do.
Not for
And
a
then
worm.
not for a worm. And so he goes all the way under. So she starts like digging for him, and that's when the little snaky tongues scratch her, and she freaks out and runs to her station wagon. Little does she know, Jim had the keys. Jim is the doctor. Had the keys, and the radio turns on, which in this movie you don't want to make sound because we'll find out later.
It's like, we
But
don't know that yet.
we don't know that yet. But her car starts to shake and stuff, and then we just see her car tilt up, and then just it like takes a shot out, and the car is gone. It is no more.
It's like the Titanic. It just
Yeah.
capsizes and then it's down.
You know, I don't know if I've mentioned on the podcast before. You know those truck bed topper things?
Mhm.
Like basically you put it on a truck, it looks like an SUV. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
I used to think when I was younger that if there was one like on the ground, because people like leave them on their in their yards or whatever when they're using them, I thought there were whole ass trucks under the ground. And I'm wondering if it's because of this movie. Like
You
I feel
learn
like I
something
need
about
to blame
yourself.
Tremors. Like I knew for a while, I was like, I can't believe there's like a whole truck under there. Like that's crazy. And then as I like grew older, I realized it was like a detachable piece.
Uh-huh. Like
And
my
I'm an idiot.
soul.
What's all?
It's detached.
Oh, I guess that's fair. So yeah, she's Gonzo. What's our population count now, huh? We got these people.
Ten?
We're down to 9. Oh wait,
Uh,
no, wait, we still have Walter and Miguel. We're down to 11. Nope,
well, we got
Mister's still
Edgar,
there.
Fred, the doctor, and the wife.
So 10, yeah.
10.
Be quiet. Leave me alone. This next one is called Run for the Hills. So this whole movie, they come up with like a bajillion plans, and all they talk about are plans. Like, what's our plan? What are we gonna plan? I'm like, that honestly sounds like me every day. Like, what's the plan? What am I gonna do about it? What am I gonna do this week? And I never figure anything out. Um,
You figured out my life, though. That was super helpful.
I can figure out other people's stuff just fine. It's just can't figure out my own stuff. They decide they're going to try and ride the horses to Bixby, and Bert and Nancy are trying to figure out, oh no, that's the anyway. They all come up with this plan to send Earl and Val on horses with guns out to Bixby to try and get them some help. Earl and Val rock paper scissors over the. I think this is the only time Val wins in rock paper scissors over what gun to take. And then Heather shows up, and Heather's like, "Here, Earl, take my gun." And Earl just gives this look to Val like, "I won anyway." And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah, because it was like a huge gun, and she's just like, you could
yeah."
take this one or this one. She's like, well, you could have this one, and she's talking about bullets. I'm like, she was talking, and I'm like, this means something. Okay, big gun.
Whatever you say,
She gave the man
girl.
on a horse a big gun. Some people are into that.
Yeah. And then Melvin's an idiot, and he decides to play a prank and like pretend that the little graboid tongue snake came back to life and had him by his neck. And Bert was like, this close, this close,
Yeah,
getting
he was gonna
shot.
shoot him, and that's when
Should
Earl's
have
like,
done it.
Melvin would. One of these times, someone's gonna kick your ass. I'm like, I wish you would.
So Val and Earl stopped by the doctor's house to warn them because last time they saw them, it was just like they were talking about Edgar from dehydration. So they were trying to tell him, get out of town or get to safety or whatever. They weren't there.
They gone.
Nobody's home.
When the
So
when the car was getting pulled underground, the wife hit the headlights on. So at first, when Earl and Val arrive at their little site, they think that they just left,
mhm,
but then they can kind of see the light shining from underneath, and then they dig up a little bit and they're like, holy fuck.
yeah. they hear the music and they're like, "What's that?" And then they say like, "Oh shit!" They're like, at this point they don't know. They think it's just those little worms. They're like, "That'd have to take a lot of them. Like, how many worms did that take?" Because they don't know that it's like one big worm, not a bunch of little worms.
They don't know.
And also, they're called graboids, by the way. I didn't do that, but
We don't know that yet.
we know. We know. Um, this next part's called "They're Under the Goddamn Ground." So once they start running like hell, and then the horses freak out, things
We don't need to talk
happen,
about
and
anything
then
else.
they when Val and Earl are standing there, the ground just starts to like lift underneath them. And they start running, and just this giant worm shoots out of the ground. And they're like, he's Val goes, "It must be a million of them." And Earl goes, "Nope, just one." And they start running. And as they're like running, the fence line is like falling as it's running. Like, so you can visually you can see where the graboid is.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of like the SpongeBob like Alaskan bullworm. Like he's just
yeah,
like running around and these are kind of like they're not cowboys, but like they're cowboys.
yeah.
So just running
My
around.
my favorite part of that is it honestly kind of like ties into it is they tell Sandy about the Alaskan bullworm, and she like fights and wrestles it and like ties it in a knot. And they're like, "Sandy, that was just the tongue." And they zoom out. This is giant bullworm. And I'm like, that's exactly what this movie is. It's just the Alaskan bullworm, but in the desert instead of the
Definitely.
ocean.
There you go.
Um, so there's this like, I don't know what it is. I don't live in the desert, but it's like a concrete ditch, basically, in the middle of nowhere.
Like an
For what?
aquaphor. Aquaphor.
Sure.
Aqueduct.
I'm like,
Aquaphor is lotion.
I'm gonna need it if I go to the desert. So
There you go.
same thing. And they try to jump it, they don't make it, and they're trying to like climb it, and then they just hear like doof. And he got a little headache. He's the graboid has a TBI for sure. Uh
pretty
Traumatic brain
pretty
injury.
tea.
Pretty traumatic, pretty dead. Um and then Kevin Bacon's like, "Fuck you." Is that their one fuck?
It might be. Is this movie
Because
PG-13 or is it R?
yeah, it's PG-13.
Then they only get one fuck.
Well, I guess that was it then, because later they say mother humper.
Yeah, that's right. They
Um,
had to, the trivia I read
they
is that they had to dub a lot of their motherfuckers and they just turned it into mother humpers. But you
so
can
they're
see
one.
it sometimes, like their mouth is
Yeah,
not
their
making that
mouth
sound.
says, yeah, they say fucker. And so this is the one fuck. He goes, "Fuck you." And Rhonda is up ahead and like some rocks fall down and they freak out. I mean, honestly, you'd be scared too. So they pry the head out, and then it's like the blood from it goes squelches. It's nasty. It's not good. Um, so we get Rhonda's point of view, very intelligent, these creatures must be very old. They're not anything that we've ever seen before. Blah blah blah, sciencey stuff. And then we hear Kevin Bacon or Val go, "I found the ass end." I'm like, there it is. And we see how large it is. Honestly, it's like 30 feet long. Who knows? 20 feet, maybe. I have no idea. They're big boys. And Rhonda realizes that there are 3 additional wormy boys out there. And Earl goes, "Old Chang doesn't get his slick mitts on this for no measly 15 books."
Yeah, because they
Because
sold
the
they
little
sold the
tongue.
snake part that they found before. Chang was like, "I'll give you $5," and then the guys just look at each other and they're like, 20. And it's like 10. And they're like, 15. And they're like, okay. But then because that's why Melvin had it is they set up like a little photo booth and then Chang was gonna charge $3 to take a picture with
Hmm.
this carcass.
Yeah.
And
Already
then they
setting
were,
up his like tourist site.
yeah, and then Earl and Val were like, damn it, like we got scammed for 15
Yeah.
bucks for that.
They shouldn't have sold it. Um, this next scene is called Rocky Situation, and this is my favorite scene in all cinematography of ever, of
Of
ever,
ever?
of ever, of ever.
Okay, tell me about it.
So Rhonda, Earl, and Val are walking back to Rhonda's work site in her truck. And on the way, like they had just had this whole chase scene, like it was really tense, really scary. And then on the way back, Earl steps in a hole and instantly goes, "Oh," screams bloody murder. And he realizes it's it's just a hole. Like he's not getting eaten by the worm. And he gets up, he goes, damn prairie dog burrows, and just keeps walking like nothing ever happened.
It is funny because everyone got really concerned for a second. They're like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "I'm fine. It's okay. Carry
Like they
on."
just found out that these things are in the ground, and you're like obviously on edge.
Yeah.
But they see this seismography thingy start going a little crazy, and they're like, we gotta go. So they start running for the truck. They end up getting stuck on a rock
A big
for
rock.
hours, big rock. And they debate, the monster's origin. Earl thinks, it's an alien. So they're a few hours later, they test if the graboid is still out there.
Yeah, they spent the
Obviously
night
it
out
is.
there.
Yeah, and so they just, we're gonna go to sleep. We're gonna sleep on this rock. But Rhonda determines it's still there because they can quote unquote hear the vibrations.
Yeah, they have the little shovel that they had and they throw it off the rock, which I'm like, why are you throwing away potentially your only weapon? But whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is still underneath it. And then they have this realizations like that's why Edgar didn't come down off of the electric tower. It's they were still underneath it, so he just died, like
Yeah.
trying to
And
escape it.
then once he died, there were no more vibrations, and the worm lived. It is what it is.
Yeah,
So the
so
next morning, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so they've determined that the thing can't see them, but it can likely hear them via seismic vibrations. And then Rhonda, the way she says it is really funny. It's very like movie scripty. She's talking about how that the rock they're on is she's like, it's a residual boulder. Like we're making vibrations just being up here. So then they're planning on how are they going to get out. And then Earl and Val are making up one of their plans of what they're going to do. And Rhonda's like, I have an idea. Why don't we try? And then she just looks at them, turns around, grabs some kind of stick that just happened to be there. And she's like, you guys know how to pole vault? And then they pole vault like between every
Rock to rock.
residual boulder until they get over to the truck. And it's a beautiful scene. Like they're doing it like the Karate Kid, like far away shots, and
And
everyone's
the
just
like
vaulting in sync.
the music's like all do do do, like it's fun. It's having a good time. Like it was great. And then when Earl tries the first time, he gets stuck midway and just falls back. And I'm like, yep, that's exactly what would happen if I tried to pole vault my way away from danger.
Yeah, so
Uh, they get to the
then
truck
they do.
and they get out, but they got to fight some tongue snakes on the way and drive away. It was very stressful.
Yeah. Then they got through, they're getting back to town trying to tell everyone. And then this is kind of like the climax of the movie is just all the different ways that they're trying to escape. Pretty much everyone believes them. Everyone that is not in the general store is in their respective house and they climb up on the roof. The monsters are running around, jokes are being told while it's a very serious situation. It's like, we're all gonna die in about 10 minutes because Chang dies, Nestor dies, Bert and
Uh-huh.
Heather get like followed in their big truck to their house and they're on a walkie at their compound talking to everybody else on the roof like what are we doing here?
Yeah. And I feel like this took a lot of like preparation because I was looking at I was watching the making of perfection video that they did for like their 30-year anniversary or something like that. And they were talking about so the monsters, they figured it was easier to just like puppeteer them. So like when they come out of the ground, there's somebody in there like this. Like, and I'm like, they were like, one of the guys, he's like, we had to bury him alive for like an hour at a time just to wait for him to pop out and like do this up. Like, you cannot pay me enough to get buried alive for a monster.
You could pay me a
So
lot, actually,
I
because
guess there's a number, but
I'm
it's
either
probably
getting
not what they
money,
would actually give me.
I'm getting money, or I'm dying. I win.
Either way, it's good.
Katrina asked me the other day when we went out to dinner, she was like, how much money would it take for you to eat this like little cup of ranch dressing? And I was like, $100. She
She
didn't pay
hates
me.
Rachel does not like ranch, sour cream, mayonnaise, like any white. We're gonna avoid certain things.
I
Coming.
love tzatziki. Let's talk about tzatziki.
She likes blue cheese.
I do.
Yeah,
I
because
understand that
she's.
I don't make any sense, but I don't like sour cream and mayonnaise, so why would I like ranch?
I mean,
That's
ranch
like
is
the
made with.
ingredient.
Yeah, but there's seasonings in it. I don't know. It's weird. Rachel's weird, guys, but it's fine. She's still my friend. Can't
I hope so. You can't
help
leave
it.
me.
Can or I already have because I'm 2 hours away.
You can't leave me.
That sounds like a threat.
Good. It's a promise.
Part of me just wants to test you, just to see how crazy you could be.
You want to test? Let me just do
Yeah.
some stretches.
Well, the last time we hung out, we were talking about like who would win in a fight, Rachel or Katrina? Oh, that should be our next poll.
We have this
We've talked
conversation
about this
like
all the time.
at least once a month, and my answer is always, I will beat your ass.
She swears that but see, there's a lot of factors that go into it that I don't think you're thinking about.
I assure you, I am thinking all the time.
I don't think she's thinking about it, you guys. She didn't get
Okay.
it.
Okay. Well,
Anyway,
if we make 1 million subscribers and we have been able to monetize this podcast, we will sell tickets to an event where you and I can test this theory, and then we'll be done for it with it. But until then, I don't care.
fair enough. I
I
think
can't
that's
afford to
valid.
lose you right now.
Once we make enough money on the fight, it'll be fine. We'll know. And then we can still be friends after. So things are going crazy town right now. So monsters are popping up all over the place. They're knocking people's houses over, throwing them in the ground. They're trying to like they can hear the people on the roof, but they can't find them. So they're trying to like bury the houses, similar to how like they buried the cars, like tear the roofs out from underneath. Like
Yeah, they're like breaking
these,
down the foundation and like pulling it down brick by
yeah,
brick.
these guys are not dumb. Like they're able to learn. They're intelligent. They're figuring shit out. Like they're hungies and they're gonna get their snacks.
See, this is what I was thinking when I was just watching it. I'm like, I understand that there are several creatures, but I feel like in the past couple days they've been eating a lot. Like, are you still hungry or are you just a
Well,
menace?
maybe it's similar to like the Jeepers Creepers thing where they only come out every 21 years and they feed the whole time and then they go back into hibernation. Because
Well,
like nobody's seen these.
thank you for spoiling Jeepers Creepers for me. I didn't know anything about it.
I mean, it's part of the storyline. It's not like a spoiler.
Well, I didn't know, so you spoiled it. Spoiled it. Spoiled it. Spoiled it. I don't honestly, I haven't watched SpongeBob in forever. How can I pull out so many SpongeBob references every episode?
It's it made us who we are.
Man,
So
I can't believe I'm who I am because of SpongeBob.
SpongeBob made me who I am. I Now there is a different SpongeBob. Today's SpongeBob is different than previous SpongeBob. So I'm gonna say
They still
it's
making it
different.
like new ones?
Yes, there's still new SpongeBob going on. At a certain point, you got to run out of stuff. Like, I mean, The
That's been
Simpsons are
going
still
since
going, I guess.
1999. How is this not like, oh, I guess The Simpsons are still coming out. I was gonna say, how is this not the longest running show of all time?
Yeah, The Simpsons are still going. Simpsons. I don't know what I'm saying.
Simpsons.
You know what I'm saying. Um,
The yellow animated guys.
yeah, both of them.
They keep going.
Maybe if you just maybe that's the thing. You got to make your main characters yellow, and they'll go on forever. So,
Hey, wait.
was Roly Poly Oly yellow?
He was. He is not here. But
Mm.
you used a Taylor Swift lyric as a scene title. And
I
that's one of my
did. I tried to throw
favorite
in.
songs.
Oh,
I
there
was
you
reading
go.
it and I was like, why does this have a melody in my head? And I was like, I know this one.
Oh yeah, it. You want to tell them what the scene title is?
And I would follow you home. I'll follow you home. Scene, the end.
There you go. So basically, that was me saying the Graboids are following them home, and they're gonna eat them.
Oh, Katrina's dying over there. She's doing something. She's choking. Oh, wait, hold
I'm
on.
okay.
I don't have any life insurance on you yet. I'm just kidding. I'm so happy you made it.
Ugh, shut up. How dare you? When I went, I told you about when I went to go to my dad's pool to swim with Yuri. He's like, don't drown each other out there. And he's like, am I on your life insurance policy? And I was like, no. Like you gotta, if I die, it goes to her. And he goes, well, I'll just come out here and drown both of y'all. And I'm like, it's not enough to be worth it. Like my life insurance is not enough for you to try and hire a lawyer and prove that you didn't kill me.
I think they would just look at your track record and be like, it was probably an accident.
That's fair. If I could prove it that I'm just a klutz, I would believe it. Um, but in the midst of all of this craziness, they're trying to figure out what plan they're gonna do, and they're on the roofs, everything's going crazy, and then we go and see Bert and Heather. They make it home to their compound, and they're trying to radio back and forth. But Bert is not understanding what Val is saying. Val is like, they are monsters under the ground. And so Bert looks out the window and he's like, well, I don't see them. He's like, they're under the freaking ground. What do you mean?
It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Over on their radio?
Yeah. It's just like, what do you mean? And Reba or Heather is like, there's something going on. They're up on their roofs. And then she starts making bullets, which makes a lot of like vibration. And then the graboids book it over to Bert and Heather.
Yeah, and then it like
And
shoots through their wall while they're
their
down there, and
basement.
they have their huge wall of guns, so it's kind of like a comedy moment because they run out of bullets and the guns are shooting, and then the camera pans over to their wall, and then they just get more and more and more, and then they kill it, and then they were going to drive back to pick up everybody from town and then leave, but then the graboid knew about the plan, and then they just watch it like snake under the surface and then just like set off their car alarm and drag it
Pop their
down, and
tires. Yeah.
yeah, they're like, you ain't getting out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we're two
So
down.
they killed it, and then Bert goes, broke into the wrong goddamn break room, didn't you?
I know, and Heather's just like hanging on him, and
She's exhausted.
I'm like, you guys are in
Because,
love,
well, because he
weirdos.
almost got taken. Like one of the snakes pulled him down and
Good.
was like dragging him, and she had to like shoot off the tentacle so that like he wouldn't get eaten.
She'll do anything for her man.
Except no spoilers. Uh so Bert radios back saying, we killed that son of a bitch, blah 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 blah.
We killed
We
that
killed
mother
that
humper.
mother humper. And Val goes, there are two more mother humpers over. And Bert's trying to shoot it through the ground. Obviously, that doesn't work. But Stumpy, the other graboid, is still terrorizing the town. And they knock over Nestor's house and they eat him through a tire.
Got him.
Not very good. Yeah. So then they have to come up with a new plan. They finally figure out, well, surely they can't bury the bulldozer, the cat, they call it. And so they're going to pull the semi trailer behind it. They're going to take the cat and they're going to head out of here, which it works. They use the lawnmower as a distraction. And about Earl was like, hey, Melvin, want to make a buck? Trying to like use him as a decoy. He goes, eat it. And he flips him off.
Melvin.
So Earl and Val, rock, paper, scissors. Earl wins. So Val's like, guess I gotta go. And Earl's like, no, I won. I choose. And then they do their whole thing. And Val gets all sentimental. It's like, good luck out there. Elbows him in the gut and then just like runs off the roof himself. Self-sacrifice.
Yeah, because
So
Val is gonna make this run while the lawnmower's still going. So the distraction and the vibrations are going the other way while he's running towards the cat. Then the lawnmower tips over. Then Kevin Bacon's still running, so the graboid starts going after him. He just stops because if I don't move, they can't hear me. And then it's really, really close. So then everyone back in town starts making a bunch of noise, distracting it. Then they get the bulldozer. Then they get everybody. Then they get over to Bert and Heather's house. Who they're still on the roof packing their bags. We had all this time, and you are packing a bag.
They're making bombs. They're packing their bags.
Yeah,
and then they're like, which gun should I take? Just throw them all in there. Who cares? Like,
yeah.
we don't have time for you to pick and choose. Just throw it in there. But it's, I was thinking it's a good thing Kevin Bacon did Footloose before this. They give him those soft feet when he was like tippy tapping over the like worm snake head.
Yeah.
In the Making of Perfection or something like, I don't remember what it's called. In the interview, he was talking about, he was like, it was after Footloose and a couple other movies had kind of bombed. And he was like, I was running out of money and I wasn't sure if I should do it. And I'm glad he did it. It did not make money right out of like right off the bat. Like they did not meet their box office goal. But it did become a classic, in my opinion. After all, they've got 7 movies now, for God's sakes.
It's a very fine movie. It's easy. I mean, this is kind of like why it's a little difficult to do it as a podcast because we would just be quoting it the whole time. Like the experience of it is enjoying it as it's happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so it's just a lot of fun to watch, and it's funny. It's lighthearted. It's not too heavy of a
no,
movie.
it's
It's not
not heavy
actually
at
like
all.
scary
No,
by
everything's
any
like
means.
pretty much in the daylight. The things you can see, like the
Mm-hmm.
crazy orange blood. I told Katrina, like when you see it, I was like, this is what it looks like after you take an azo pill for your UTI. Like it is orange. It's and then they don't like it's old-timey captions. Old-timey, it was from 1990. But they don't caption everything the way that they do it now where it's very, very descriptive. And I was like, I needed a trigger warning for these squelching sounds. I was like, ugh, I can't stand that word. Squelch. It's gross.
Yeah, watery bowels.
None of those here.
None of those, please.
But speaking of Alaskan bullworm, it is Akatar. She's running around in the mud.
I mean, another
doubling back.
bullworm. It makes sense. It makes sense. Our next scene I titled, "They see me rolling, they hating, trolling, trying to catch me riding dirty." Because the graboids were being haters. Rachel's clapping, but you can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
No, I couldn't hear it at all. No.
Nothing? Can you hear me talking?
I hear you talking, but I
I'm
don't hear clapping.
I'm clapping right in front of the microphone.
I don't
Snaps?
hear a thing.
What
No,
what the hell?
it filters too much. Here, I'll do it for you.
I can't hear anything.
No, you didn't hear the claps?
How do I hear your voice and no clapping?
Still no? You hear that? Do it
I don't
again.
hear I don't hear anything. I just hear you.
Even when I'm talking, you don't hear the claps. What? What is this sorcery?
Okay, well, imagine what I was saying. You're so surprised. You were telling me you can't clap, but you're surprised I can't hear you. Okay, makes sense a whole lot.
Well, your microphone is better than mine, and so I thought mine would be obviously terrible because it picks up my chair squeaking. So
Does
why
it?
wouldn't it
Do you
pick
hear
up?
mine?
No, wait. But you hear this, right? Like, listen.
Yeah, I hear all of that.
So how can you hear the chair squeak but not me clapping?
I don't
Maybe
make
I
the
should
rule.
clap under the here. If I clap down low. What
No,
the
but the
fuck?
way your shoulders are moving, I don't want you to see that anymore.
Oh my God. Okay, too much. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Goodbye.
anyway, so much hating going on. Let's wrap
Ugh.
this guy up.
So everybody's in the I don't even know. It's a semi trailer, but it's like a tanker cut in half. I don't know. It's like an open. How do you, it is what it is. If you've seen the movie, you know what it looks like. Um,
It's a mode of transportation at this point.
it is. So Bert and Heather throwing all their bombs and guns in there. They hop in. They learn that the monsters are trying to like stall them. Every time they stop, they're trying to like dig out under the tires because it's tracks. They were flattening the tires. Now they can't do that. Um, And then eventually they're almost to the mountain. Like they're literally cheering because they're like, oh my God, we're almost there. Stop cheering before you get there, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, they're like, well, where'd they go? And they must have gave up. Like they're over there doing something. I don't care. Turns out they were setting a booby trap. They dug out an invisible ditch and the bulldozer fell right into it, dumped some people out. They got back in the trailer. So now they're trying to bury the trailer and tractor all over again. So they're trying to devise plan number 5072. And they decide to throw a bomb to try and like get them to go away. And they realize it scares and or slash hurts them because it's so loud that they have to like the monsters run away when they throw bombs. So they decide let's throw a bomb, run for the rocks because they can't sink rocks for whatever reason. Maybe
They can
there's
they can sink a building, but not a rock. Rock is
yeah.
safe.
The rock goes all the way to the Earth's core, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know. Uh so they get to they're getting ready to run, and Melvin, being the little squealy boy bitch he is like, we're not gonna make it. They're so fast. And so Bert's like, here, this'll teach them. Gives him like a pistol. And earlier, Bert's like, I wouldn't give you a gun if it was World War III. But now Bert's like, I gotta get him moving. So they throw the bomb, monsters run away, they start running, and Melvin sees like a dust trail and starts shooting at it, but it just clicks. As he's running, he's like, Bert, you asshole, it's got no bullets. And once they get to the rock, Bert was like, got you moving, didn't it? And I was like, that's
I
I
know,
love it.
like Bert, you want to hate him, but unfortunately, he is correct so many of the times. And that was funny, like when they got in the trailer thing, he and Heather joining everyone else, they're watching their house like fade into the distance, and they're like talking about the gasoline drums they had, how much of a food supply they had, and like how prepped they were. And they're like, goddamn underground monsters. Like this was the thing that got them. They were unprepared for one thing.
Yep.
And it's
It,
just funny.
yeah, because it's like you can prepare for literally World War III and the end of the world, everything, and it's not going to be what you expect. If the world ends, it's going to be something nobody has thought of yet. I feel like it's going to be something crazy, crazy new. Why not?
Why
I feel like
not?
zombies is just overrated at this point.
Ugh, if I see a
I'm
zombie, I'm
over.
laying down.
Just kill yourself so you don't have to like feel them like biting you and stuff. I don't want to feel being eaten. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
Anyway. Also, I don't there's no I guess it's similar with like vampires and other monsters is like there's no general consensus on like what a zombie is or acts like or what kills a zombie or what doesn't kill a zombie. And so I'm like, how are we supposed to know when the zombies come what we're supposed to do? You know?
Well, zombies are just a metaphor for leprosy and being a social pariah, so you're not meant to look too deep into it. If you're a vampire, you're gay, and if you're a werewolf, you're gay.
I'm trying to think of other monsters.
The creature from the Black Lagoon,
Okay.
obviously. Invisible
Isn't
Man,
it
gay. Frankenstein,
basic
gay.
very gay? Even though he had a wife, she was gay too.
Oh, she was gayer than he was.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Frankenstein, straight.
I don't know. He was repressed. He made another man.
Maybe he did, but he was, I guess, yeah. You know what? I'll allow it. Oh, speaking of gay, you don't watch the night show 911, do you?
No.
Ugh,
I didn't
I
watch it last podcast. I didn't watch it the podcast
ugh.
before that.
I just want to say, if any of the viewers, what are they watching? It's a podcast, you idiot. If any of the listeners out there watch 911, I just want you to know, I called it. I knew who it was
Okay.
gonna be. Gay. Good for them. Anyway, moving on. So we get to the rock, and then Val and Bert are getting into a fight because like we got to have some kind of conflict in this movie at some point. Like I feel like there's been no other than the conflict of the monsters and like the things happening. Nobody's really like fought.
I
So
know
they
we've
have
been
a
a
little
team.
tiff. Yeah. Now that we're like stuck for realsies and we're out of options, we're gonna fight. I like how Heather was like, "It's all right, Bert. He's always got to be right, huh?" Like
I know she's like
trying to do.
placating him. She's like, "Yeah, I know, Bert. I know."
Oh,
And
poor
she's like
baby.
getting him out of the way. She's like, "This is not productive."
So I'm assuming they've been on the rock for a while because Bert starts talking about if it comes to starvation, I'm gonna take this bomb and I'm just gonna stroll out there and I'm gonna let it take me, and then boom. And Earl's like, actually, that gives me an idea. And Val thinks it's funny, and he's like, no, really. So this scene is called Gone Fishing. Basically, they take their bombs, they throw rocks to like bait, they basically bait the worm, and then throw a bomb on a string, light it, throw it out there, and then hope that the worm eats it and blows up. And it works the first time. And we get this like orange goo splatter everywhere. Everybody's like covered in it. It's nasty. And then there's one more worm left, and it's Stumpy. But Stumpy is smarter than all the other worms. He's not your average worm. And so he eats it, but then he spits it back out and it ends up landing on the bag of bombs and ammo and guns. And so basically everything blows up. So everybody like half the people dive out onto the dirt, half the people stay on the rock. And this is like the end scene, pretty much. Not the end scene, but like the end action scene. And it's Kevin Bacon, or I guess Val and Earl and Rhonda stuck out on like the dirt. And the graboid is there, so they freeze. And so they're all like, throw the bomb, what are you doing? He's like, it's our last one. So plan number 10,001 is Val just starts sprinting. He's like, I got a goddamn plan.
I know. I was
Because the
like, he finally has a plan. He did it.
whole
Character
time.
growth. Yay.
And because they're like, he talks about, he's like, this one's smarter than it. He's trying to trick us, like blah blah blah. Like he's having this whole worm being super smart. I don't know. And so the worm starts to chase them as they're all sprinting towards the cliff. We can't see the cliff. We don't know what's happening. And he like shortens the fuse on the bomb and then stands by the cliff while the thing is like barreling towards him, throws the bomb behind the worm so that it would blow up and go faster. Basically, similar to the first worm, but just like goes through the cliff and lands like 100 feet down. I don't know, probably further, and just
It was
splats,
squelches.
squelches. And he's like, "Can you fly, sucker?"
Yeah.
And then after that, he's like, "It suddenly hit me, stampede."
I know we got a full circle moment, and then then you have Kevin Bacon in the middle. You got so Valentine in the middle, Earl on the side, and then Rhonda on the other side. And then he's like, "It just hit me, stampede." And then everyone's like, "Ha ha 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 ha! Wow, fun family film. Movie's over. Ha 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 ha! We made it." And I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah. And then it goes to everybody's like packing up and cleaned up and got patches on their injuries. And so Earl's like nudging him like, "Oh, you gonna talk to her? You gonna talk to her?" And basically the movie ends with Val and Rhonda kissing. And I'm like, is this now a romantic comedy? Because technically they end up together.
But that wasn't like the general plot point. It's an
It wasn't.
action comedy. It has romance in it, but it is not a romance because
Right.
a romance driving plot has to be related to the couple in question.
Hmm.
It's just a movie with romance in it.
Okay. Well, it's definitely a comedy. I still think it falls under the horror genre
I feel
just
like
because it's got monsters in it,
it's
you know?
horror's like adopted step cousin.
Hmm.
Like, sure, but
Is it scary? No.
they
Is
get
it
a
fun to watch?
they
Yeah.
get to go to the family reunion and their name is on the t-shirt.
Yeah.
But it's not horror. I wouldn't say it's horror in the vein of something that has like a real commentary or like how I talked in the beginning, like a haunt or something that like sticks with you. Like it
Mm-hmm.
is a good time movie. It is a
Yeah.
film.
I'm not worried about worms under the ground when I go home tonight or like after watching it or something like that.
If I had a boyfriend, he'd be like, I got a worm you gotta worry about.
Thank God you don't have one.
Just the fictional ones in my head. They're on
Yeah.
a carousel over here. I'm like, which one do I want today?
That's let's keep it there. Keep it fictional.
Hey, if any of them show up, we're gonna have a different conversation.
Very true.
So to go back to our talking points, we talked about healthy masculinity. Like, I mean, there's the one funny scene where the guys are talking to themselves. So when Rhonda is like, I have a plan, like they don't listen to her. But it's not like this movie is not misogynistic. Like the first sign of trouble with everything going on, they're like, we need to ask Rhonda when
Mm-hmm.
they're up on the roofs. Rhonda's on a different roof, and Val is like, Rhonda, what do we do? And she's like, why are you asking me? And he just looks, and you just see that he's like, I just respect you, lady.
And then when they're all in like the store, they're like, Rhonda, what are these things? Why are they here? What are they doing? And she's like, guys, I have no clue. They're like, aren't you a scientist? Yeah, because that means she just knows everything.
It's like
And this is before the
I'm
internet's
studying the
available.
seismic activity. I'm learning about what's inside the ground right now, just like you.
Yeah. She's like, I know about the rocks and the dirt. I don't know about the animals. Like, she's not a biologist by any
Right.
means.
So the movie is great. I'm disappointed to learn that Valentine and Rhonda run away and they're not with Earl anymore. I feel like that would have been an excellent throuple.
Yeah. Bert isn't it though.
Isn't he in
Bert
all of
come
them?
yeah.
Didn't when we looked through the things, isn't he in all of them?
Mm-hmm.
Good for him. Get that bag.
I know, right? And I think when I was watching the Making of Perfection, they talked about that it was really off cast for him, so they really weren't sure like how it was gonna go. Because prior to this, he was like a TV show dad. Like so he was known as like fun loving and like nice, but like transitioning from that to like prepper gun fanatic type thing. The one of the writers was like when he was like what is it called when he was auditioning, he's like, he made me feel like there were graboids under the ground in my office right below.
Almost like he's acting.
I know. He's a great actor.
Crazy
He
how you can just like pretend to do something else.
not me. I'm a terrible actor.
Oh, me.
Terrible liar. Terrible actor.
I'm a terrible liar, but I am a good pretender. Am I? I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be the judge of that.
Yeah, I feel like you're biased on that.
I'll say I am.
You're good at pretending the things in your head are real to yourself. Oh, wait, that's called delusions.
Okay, well, one of us is an author here.
I'm not denying. I said that was an amazing accomplishment, and you're like, well, blah, 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 and you were minimizing it the other day, and now you're trying to throw it in my face like I'm saying something negative,
Because
and I'm not.
I only want to fight.
I'm
No
willing to
nice.
fight.
Only
We've talked
fight.
about this. You're lucky I'm a fighter, okay?
That's okay. I already have lover. I have a lover tattoo.
Oh my God. You should get fighter on the other arm. Please do.
That's that's very funny. That's worth the joke to put a tattoo on the right side of my body. All my tattoos, it didn't start off with a plan, but now it's like all my tattoos can only be on the left side of my body.
Like, do you want me to be a lover or you want me to be a fighter?
Flex it up.
Everybody, like the people who name their fists or something. Just,
Yeah. Oh, I think unfortunately, that's very funny.
it's a great idea.
The same font and everything.
Yes, the same position.
Oh, I think that's very funny. Okay. I'm not down. I'm not down.
It'll take some convincing, but we'll talk about it. I always thought about having like, I don't know, I only have one tattoo, but like I have a sunflower on my right thigh, and I'm like, this can be my land leg, and then I can have one is like my sea leg, like land and ocean.
Surf and turf.
Like my land legs and my sea legs, surf and turf. I'm sure there's a lot of other. Oh, and then my other limbs could be so it's earth, water, air, and fire for my other limbs. And then I'm the avatar. And nobody can beat me.
Please, yep, I'm feeling something here.
All right, we got next up. Give us your tattoo suggestions, guys. We need ideas.
We don't need their ideas. We've come up with everything. Like you just spitballed great. Lover and
fighter. Validate us.
And then that's what I want. That's all I wanted is just the validation.
And then I'll be the four elements. That's fine.
Perfect. I love it. Okay. I know that it's so next month is my birthday. I'm the almost birthday girl. So I'm supposed to pick what we're supposed to do, but I don't know what I would really want to do. What I do want to do, but I understand we probably can't, is I really want to do long legs, but I can't tell you why long legs is so like exactly correct until you've seen it. And it's a good movie. It's a great movie. It's just in theaters.
It's still in theaters?
Yeah, I think so.
Let me see if it's streaming anywhere.
I mean, I can't imagine it.
I feel like I'd have to purchase it to stream it somewhere because it's so new.
It is worth the purchase. Like, I want this movie.
Maybe for your birthday, I should buy Long Legs as a DVD, and then we can watch it. Okay, so Long Legs, if we can watch it, we can do that. What is your backup?
Well, I asked Marissa. I said, it's my birthday. I get to pick. What am I supposed to do? And it's just immediate. She was like, The Conjuring or The Nun. And I was like, I feel like those are so basic. And she's like, they're your favorites. So
Yeah, we can't do Insidious. We already did that one.
that was a thought that I had in the shower. I was like, I already did Insidious. I can't do it again. I was like, maybe I will. Um, sorry, I was just trying to see if
I mean,
there
I
was
like The
anything that
Nun.
was streaming.
I think it's a great movie. I like the Nun movies. And I just watched it not
Oh,
that long ago.
okay.
It's on Netflix
Long Legs says release date coming soon on
for
Amazon.
DVD. Oh, for
So,
Amazon.
so I don't know if it'll be like the Prime Video Cinema or if it's like just for purchase. Somebody has to have it online. Oh God, it's so good. It is
We
so
can look.
good, and it is the
Hold
way
on.
that it is so perfect. I'm just saying. I can't tell you why.
Is this going to be another Black Phone that I hate it and you love it? And it's
I
torture
don't
for me
think
to watch a
so.
second time?
I don't think so. I
No?
think it's a really, really good movie. It's just also it happened to be exactly perfect for me. Had no
Is
idea going
this
into it, and then I was like, "What?"
okay? Well, actually cut this part out. But it's on 123 Movies, that website already. So we could potentially do Long Legs, and then as a backup, we could do The Nun because it's streaming on Netflix right now. How do you feel about that?
I really do love The Nun. My fear is that if we're just talking about The Nun, like because it's like its own franchise and The Nun is like 3 or 4 movies into it.
Like The Conjuring?
Yeah. But the
Yeah, it's
but
like,
but The Conjuring isn't my favorite of the franchise. The Conjuring 2 is my favorite, but we can't cover The
uh-huh.
Conjuring 2 until we've covered Conjuring. And you see where my what goes on in my head all the time?
I feel like you're putting rules on yourself that aren't necessarily there
Okay, well,
unless you want
I
them to
want
be.
to make one thing so clear. I do not make these rules. I am merely imprisoned.
Uh, or we could try to do something like we did with Insidious, where we do like a Conjuring 1 and 2, where we cover the Conjuring 1, but we mainly talk about number 2.
You know, that's a very smart idea because, I mean, of course, The Conjuring is a really fantastic movie just by itself, but The Conjuring 2 is really the one where there are more branches to the rest of the franchise. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
could technically do Conjuring 1, 2, 3, but Conjuring 3 is kind of its own spin-off, even though it's the main franchise line.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I haven't watched The Conjuring in a while, so I don't know like how thorough we would need to be about number 1 to get into number 2. So like I mean if it's 2 hours, whatever, we've had a 2-hour thing before, but if it's 3 or 4 hours, that's a little crazy.
Are you talking about podcast length?
Right.
I
Like
don't think that it's going to be that.
so we can do Conjuring 1 and 2.
And then
Or,
just mention the third.
yeah. And like bring in like the third, talk about how it affects the other franchises and things like that. And then or we could do Long Legs. Because
My
I can possibly watch it
my
on
my preference is long legs, and
I
you'll
think
see
that's
why.
I think that we plan to do Long Legs then. Like
Okay.
I'll try and see if I can get it like up on my TV or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. You want a dark room, popcorn, like you want to like this is a movie. Watch the movie. Don't be on
Okay.
your phone. Like have a theater experience. Don't
Okay.
pause it halfway through. Watch the movie.
I can do that.
I've gone to the movies twice to see it.
Would you go?
I went with Kayla the first time and then I went the second time, and I can't tell you the reason why until you've seen the movie.
Okay.
Okay, I went to see this
No,
the
no, you
second
don't have
time
to
all
tell
by
me.
myself. That's how much I wanted to see
Oh,
it.
nice.
And this was the first night I saw it is when those people were banging on my door and scaring the shit out of me. Like,
Oh, yeah.
this is horrible. It's great.
Yeah. So, okay. So August or no, September, Long Legs, hopefully. And then next month after that is October. Do we
No
want to
shit.
shoot for two?
No.
scared.
We did two
It's
last
spooky
year.
season.
We did two last year because
It was Friday the 13th and Halloween.
yeah, because we were going crazy and then we didn't even do one for November. So I don't even want to plan doing two. I have a book I'm trying to get out.
Okay, fair enough. So let's think about October.
Let's think about October after we do this one.
Okay, fair enough. Soon enough, we're gonna have a whole year planned, and then we're never gonna, one of these days, we're gonna have like.
What's the plan? What's the plan, Valentine? What's the plan? Oh my gosh, if there was somebody who was editing, honestly, I'd be so sorry for that person.
I'm sorry for me all the time.
I'm sorry for you too.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, we did it.
So tune in with us next time for Rachel's birthday episode.
Okay. I can't wait to screenshot the texts that Katrina is going to send me when she's like, "You did this to me." Like when you know why we're doing this movie next.
I can't wait.
I can't wait for the texts.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll let you guys I'll bring you guys up to speed next time. So
okay. I'll just say goodbye. I won't say what they say in Longlegs, but I will say goodbye, and then I'll just be like, kiss. Go watch Longlegs. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you guys for listening. We hope that you enjoyed our episode, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Find us on Twitter or Instagram to request a movie or even just to discuss your thoughts at Booze and Boobs, or send us an email, boozeandboobs@gmail.com.
Yeah, and we're working on turning this into a thing. So if you can please follow us on Patreon, our account there is Booze and Boobs also.
And what are some of the benefits to joining our Patreon?
Oh, Katrina, I am so glad that you asked. As a patron, you will get early release episodes, bloopers, mini episodes where we showcase scenes from the movies that we're talking about, or just conversations that we're having that we had to cut from our recording.
All that and more. And they're fun tiers. You can be an A cup, a C cup, or you can join the Triple D Plus group like us.
We truly appreciate your support, and we look forward to growing our following to create more content for listeners like you.
So we'll see you next time. Or else.
Yeah, let's end it with a threat.